What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Friday Mastermind Trust Engine Mortgage Coach community. This call is going to be awesome. Dan Keller is always awesome. We were going to do Dan Keller's top 6 mortgage strategies, but Dan said, you know what? We've got a lot of really good strategies. Like, he reviewed the Speed to Need training book, and he's like, I think the way I can add the most value is to really focus on, my 2023 mindset. He is going to share a couple Dan Keller strategies, and maybe we'll call out, he'll add some coaching notes, because he has watched the Jeremy Forcier 6 strategies. He watched one of the Sean Herrero top strategies. So we'll add some coaching notes. Love to make this as active and collaborative as you guys will make it. So please use the little reaction buttons in Zoom, give us a little thumbs up. Let us know what you think when we say things that add value to you. Todd, what is up, my brother? It's been a long time no see.
It has been a long time no see. I guess inside jokes, we forgot to take a picture and post it to Facebook. So having lunch yesterday didn't happen. And I'm super focused. Super focused, but I'm super pumped up. I love Dan's edit of mindset. I feel like mindset is something that we don't talk about enough. We talked about it with Jonathan Roach last weekend. And I think anytime that we have someone like Dan on who has such a great mindset and is willing to share what he's doing to keep himself focused is a great gift to the community. So welcome, Dan. Great to see you, my friend.
I'm excited to be here. Todd, I got a real quick coaching. Todd shows up right at 9 o'clock this morning, right? And so back when I was playing college and some pro ball, I used to have coaches go, hey, remember this, you guys. Early is on time and on time is late. So Todd, you were late today.
The best part was I didn't have my fake background on, and I'm recording literally in a closet in our Airbnb in Venice Beach. So yes, I was here at the razor thin margin. So thanks for calling me out, Dan. But
hey, you're perfect, dude. You're perfect, man. You're about the most complete, perfect dude I know. So I'm just giving you crap.
I appreciate it.
So guys, yesterday, like, my mindset is on fire. Yesterday, I had a surprise visit from Sean Herrero, who is in Orange County doing some strategic planning. Had his team come down. They stayed here. He let me know the night before. We took a walk at Crystal Cove Beach at 6:15 in the morning. 2 reminders there, everyone. First of all, it is halftime. Tomorrow is July 1st. I also interviewed Hunter Markwart yesterday around the title was "You're Not as Valuable to Realtors as You Think You Are." And we also shared some, like, halftime, like, Hunter is getting, I think today he's doing his halftime huddle, half-day meeting with his team. So just a reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, make sure you're meeting with your team, you're setting quarterly goals, you're reviewing Q2. And then I had breakfast with Jessica Uphoff, who's killing it. I mean, Jessica is a real powerful innovator and leader in the industry. I am going to be doing Jessica's 6 top loan now strategies within the next couple of weeks. So that is going to be killer. Dan, do you know Jessica?
I know of the name. I do not know Jessica.
Okay. I was actually thinking about having you come co-host that with me when I get it scheduled, but we'll make that TBD. So let's get into it, Dan. So yeah. Dan, you picked the headline. First of all, why'd you pick this headline, and just give us a synopsis of what we're going to cover today?
Yeah. So a lot of the Sean Herrero interview, just even Hunter yesterday. Hunter is a great guy. Both of those dudes are just incredible human beings and mortgage professionals. Hunter always just calls it just like it is, right? I mean, we're not as valuable as we think we are. And you can look at that 2 different ways. You can look at that as, oh, he's being an ass. Or, oh, he's being, or that's just maybe Hunter the coach. Or you can look at it that way, or you can look at it through the lens of, can I improve? We can look at it through the lens of, let's go out and sell real estate. Let's put our realtor shoes on for a moment. What are the problems that they're dealing with? What are some resources that we can bring to them? Sean, I think his whole talk was on being a solutions finder. I talked about that at the Modern Mortgage Summit. Like, if you could just wire your mind to find solutions for people. And Sean's going into loan applications and realtor meetings and prospecting realtors online or wherever, hunting for a solution. a solution to someone's problem, to a realtor's problem, to a borrower's problem, whether it's data. Okay, so Sean can go out and get some information, present some data to them. Whether it's fear, whether it's lack of income or lack of resources. And so I think in prepping for today, I could have winged it, Dave, and put together my 6 strategies that I'm using right now. I don't know if I have 6 strategies right now. I'm up here in Seattle. Margins are compressed. Banks and credit unions locally are buying the market with adjustable rate mortgages. I don't have an arm that can compete. I'm sorry, I don't have a 7-6 arm right now. How do I walk my loan officers through that conversation? Well, we have to have that conversation with clients. We have to understand that if we don't have a product, we don't throw in the towel. There's still a relationship there to be had. There's still advice to be given. And so what I kind of wanted to share today was a perspective, a pain and perspective that I'm dealing with. I think what makes this group so valuable, you guys, is you have guys like Sean and me and all these amazing loan officers that you bring on this weekly event. We're in the trenches. So you're not getting a branch manager that did mortgages 13 years ago or 25 years ago. You're getting loan officers that are in the trenches. You're getting branch managers that are leading right now in the trenches, that are having conversations with realtors every single day. So what I wanted to do today is kind of take what I have learned from the past, coaching at the college and pro levels in baseball, bringing it to business. And I think from a mindset standpoint, sport is the ultimate mindset challenge, I think. I mean, how do you go out every single day, get your ass whooped one night and have to relace them up the next morning, tired, sore, beaten up, and go out and perform? Or go in the weight room and continue to work on your skills and your strength. And so I think in business, we have it a little easy compared to college and professional athletics, but the mindset portion of it, what I kind of wanted to start off with today was this idea. And I posted this on Facebook the other day, and I'm going to talk more in a private group that I have later on today with some loan officers on this. And it's the game that we played and the plays that we ran that got us to halftime, that got us to right now with the lead. So let's say we're winning, okay? Will not get us back into the locker room with a win at the end of the game. Okay, so the plays that we ran, the things that we were doing in 2021 and 2022, and maybe even the first half of this year aren't going to get us back into the locker room at the end of the second half with a win. I'm highly competitive. I want to win. And I know every single person listening to this call, the 2 gentlemen on this call with me, Dave and Todd, are winners. We play to win. And I think we've got to get back to what does that mindset look like? And I've dealt with a ton of adversity. I've lost loan officers quitting, loan officers going to, I'm retail, loan officers going to the broker channel because it's easier to sell as a broker, and just a lot of things. I've lost realtors. It's competitive out there. I've lost realtors to other loan officers that are offering X, Y, and Z. Or they're paying for their marketing or whatever. I mean, there are a lot of challenges right now. You combine that with lack of inventory up here. You combine that with all the pains that we're feeling, and it's rough. So how do you show up every single morning? How do you show up? I had a loan officer I was sitting down with the other day, and it's sad. She's a good loan officer. And she's like, Dan, I think I'm going to go get a job. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, I'm going to go get a job. And I see you throwing in the towel. And she's a good loan officer, 5 years in the industry, good $30 million producer, traditionally in the past, good business, good loan officer. And she's like, I just can't do it. I'm struggling. And I said, well, what are you struggling with? And she was like, everything. I haven't closed a loan in 2 months. Now she's in our coaching program, and here at the company at New American Funding. And I said, okay, let's talk about some things. And we dug a little bit deeper. It came down to mindset. Okay. It came down to competing. It came down to focus. It came down to doing what we're supposed to do every single day. So I asked her, when was the last time you sat down, not had a business meeting, but sat down with your realtors, your top 5 realtors? And she says, I haven't in a few months. I don't know how many deals they're doing. And he said, here's your homework. I want you to call your top 5 realtors that have given you the most amount of business. I want you to call them right now. And I want you to ask them 2 questions. I want you to say, hey, Sarah, you just get through the small talk and just say, hey, I was thinking about you today. I was having a rough week and I was thinking about you and I needed a smile. And so an exercise that I did this morning was like, what can I think of that would put a smile on my face? And I got to thinking of you. And I want to ask you a question. What would put a smile on your face today? Ask that question and see what they say. And then number 2, totally not business related. I want to sit down and I want to get together with you and I want to talk life and I want to talk business. Sometimes there's not business to be had right now. Sometimes we are farmers and we're planting seeds. But I know every good farmer needs a lunch break. Every good farmer needs to relax and kick their feet up at the end of the night and watch the sunset and take a break. And I just love to connect with you. I just want to sit down with you. I want to be in better and more relationship with you. And that's it. She called me back. She called me back and she was like, Dan, unbelievable phone calls, unbelievable conversations. And so I think when we talk about mindset right now, we have to put on our shoes of the realtors that we're working with. You know, how are they feeling right now? We're selfish right now, kind of like what Hunter was saying. We're not as good as we think we are. We're having our own pity party. I love what Sean Herrera said. He was like, man, I showed up to Mastermind and he was like, I was pissed. I was pissed at the tempo, the energy, the vibration in the mortgage industry right now. He was like, I do my mortgages in my little van. I'm not in an office every day. I'm not seeing how the water cooler talk, the negative stuff. He was like, I do my job. I make my videos and I make my phone calls and I meet my realtors and I sit down with my clients. It's really doomy and gloomy out there right now. And I think that is a big thing right now from a mindset standpoint. Who you're around, you're going to be a product of who you're around. Good for Sean for working out of his van. But also, if you're a branch manager listening to this, this is your wake-up call at your office. That culture, that mood, that energy is on you, regardless of volume right now. Listen, a lot of people's volume is down right now. July is a weird month. I don't know about you guys, but July is a really, really weird month. Realtors, like literally, I feel like they vacation all of July, right? And you got vacations, it's summer. So what do you do in months like that? How do you take care of your mind in times like that, in times like this? And so today, I think I wanted to focus on a few things mindset-wise, a few questions, a few conversations. But I think it's really important, you guys. I almost wanted to title this today that we got to get back to the old school. I was meeting with a realtor yesterday and I was sitting down with them and we were talking and he wanted to do all this video stuff and this Instagram marketing and all these shiny, cool things. And I said, cool, totally can help you. I'm going to go show you our studio in a second. Do me a favor, Dan. His name was Dan. When was the last time you called all of your people that you helped last year? You helped about 60 families last year, big team. And he goes, well, I sent him out an email once a month. And I said, no, when was the last time you called all of your clients last year and just talked to them? The conversation went like this. I haven't. That's one of the things that I need to work on in my business. And I don't know what to say. And I said, here's the funny thing. You go, what do you say? You just go, how's the house? And I said, well, here's what's really funny, Dan. Let's say your kitchen sink leaks and you hire a plumber. And your plumber calls you a month later and calls you and says, or does he call you a month later and say, hey, Dave, how's your plumbing? Most of the time they don't. Most realtors are going to call up and they're going to be like, well, I don't call my clients because I don't know what to say to them. Hey, Dave, how's the home? Versus if you're in relationship with someone and you know their daughter is starting her senior year and she plays volleyball. Hey, I remember, Dave, when we were closing, that your daughter was heading into her senior year, potentially getting a college scholarship to Grand Canyon State University. How's that going? Did she earn that scholarship? Hey, when you guys moved into the house, you mentioned that you were building a back deck. How's that deck going? Send me some pictures of that thing. I'd love to see it. Hey, I remember I referred you over a contractor. How do you end up doing? Send me some pictures of that stuff. And so that one meeting with that realtor, he said that no lender has ever had that conversation. He said he didn't want to take the appointment with me because he thought it was all going to be about loan programs and this and that. And the only reason why he took the meeting with me was because I do video. And he thought I was going to teach him how to do video. Now we're going to do that. But that one aha, I said, we need to do this first. We need to get back to the old school. Now he's been selling real estate for 25 years. So I said, hey, Dan, when you first started out in real estate, how did you communicate with your clients? And he goes, via phone. I was like, cool. Did you call your past clients all the time? And he goes, yeah, I did. I was like, why don't we do that now? And so I think that what I wanted to share today are a couple of strategies that I'm using to go old school. But before that, in order to deploy any of these strategies, you guys, I think we have to have a new mindset heading into the second half of 2023. And I want to share the stat with you, and then we'll move into the mindset.
Hey, Dan, I love the narrative that you just gave. I do, now in my role at Trust Engine, and I mean, I've always been a data-driven leader. And I mean, part of what led to the creation of MortgageCoach was data. Like if we can give consumers data in a way that they have clarity, they can make better decisions. And so I want to, before you go into it, I want to share some data with everyone. I am going to share my screen real quick, and I just want to go through this. We subscribe to MMI, and I didn't run this report last year, but they have a feature where I think they call it the loan officer scorecard or something. And it shows breaking down by tiers. And the first time I ran this report was in November of 2020. And you'll notice that in November of 2020, tier 6 is loan officers that are doing over 3,000 loans annually. There was 3,056. And in terms of loan officers that aren't doing any loans, there were 101,000. Let's go down to 2021. There were 6,000 loan officers in tier 6. There were 140,000 doing none, 8,000 doing 200 to 300, 31,000 doing tier 4, and 32,000 to tier 3. Well, guys, I just ran the report while Dan was talking, and it's gone from 6,000 loan officers doing over 300 loans to 406. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a massive decrease. Now, by the way, that there's still 400 loan officers doing over 300 loans a year. And I had breakfast with one of them, Jessica Uphoff, yesterday. And I'm going to be interviewing her soon. There was 8,000 doing 200 to 300. Now there's 1,000. And then of course, speaking to Dan, there's an extra 100,000 people that aren't doing loans. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to this is the data. So a couple things I would say you can get from this is there are people that are doing a lot of loans in this market. It's still possible. There's a lot less people doing a lot of loans in this market. Dan, any comments on that before we get into your strategies? And Todd too. Todd, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I think that data, if you were to look at that data, and I'd love to see that and put some thought and some coaching around that, but I think that data is great for branch managers and great for leaders to go, okay, this is my group of people that I need to provide support for. So how do you take someone from 10 to 20 loans a year to 30 or 40 loans a year? It's going back to win by noon, the basics, the fundamentals. And so when you're out talking with people, the reason why you're struggling. Now, someone that's not closing any loans right now clearly has some issues. They don't know the industry. They don't know sales. They probably don't know product. They're probably working a full-time job, right? But someone that's doing 20 to 30 loans a year that is struggling right now understands the fundamentals. They're just not good at blocking and tackling and running yet. And something like Win by Noon, the Win by Noon planner, will show you, hey, it's Monday. This is what we're doing. And so I know, Todd, maybe piggyback on top of that. Am I on to something there, like using that data to help lead as a BM or a regional?
Yeah, I mean, that data is haunting, but not surprising, right? I mean, I think that is, the reality of the industry. And I think it's kind of what's your standard, right? That's what I'm preaching to my team right now is, you know what, you may not be getting the results that you want or the results that you're used to, but are you putting in the time? Are you having the conversation? So I just love your conversation you have with the realtor of, hey, like, when's the last time you talked to the people that you sold homes to last year? I think it's the same thing for all of us loan officers. You all should be making these calls. If nothing else, is having the conversations, right? I mean, I love Dan's coaching of the loan officer who hasn't closed a loan in a couple months, and hey, just talk to your realtors and have conversations. They're hurting too. And so I think the more that you set a standard for yourself, I mean, how many people are you going to talk to this week, right? What is it for quality conversations you want to have? And then don't finish the day. Don't put your head on the pillow on Friday unless you've hit that number for the week. Savage has me reading listening to David Goggins' new book. I listened to it on my drive back up from Newport yesterday. I'm a couple chapters in, and I was just the introduction fired me up because I'm like, you know what? I'm soft. Like, I mean, we're all soft. And so I think that this whole idea, that's why it goes back to me to mindset and just making the calls. Because eventually, if you actually put in the time and you set a standard for yourself and you do the calls, eventually loans are going to happen. They're not going to happen like this. But certainly if you're only making a handful of calls in a week because you're nervous and don't know what to say, or don't want to talk to people because you're not feeling good about yourself, then you're just not going to get there. You've got to actually build that number up so that you can start getting the momentum going.
Amen.
All right. So any questions you have, let's mastermind style, whether you're watching this on Facebook, whether you're watching this in Zoom, or whether you're watching the recording. Let's go, Dan. So let's rock out a lesson.
Yeah, Todd, you just gave a great transition into my talk on mindset, because Todd just said he's listening to David Goggins' new book. David's Mr. Mindset, but let's just be real. I've read his books. They're back there. I've read a ton of books on mental toughness, a ton of books on just being grit, being tough. At the end of the day, those books, that mindset's only going to get you so far. Because here's the thing, crap's going to happen. You're going to lose a deal. You're going to have a loan officer quit. Your kid's going to get sick or get in trouble. Next thing, life's going to happen. And it's one thing to have crud thrown at you from one direction. But to have it coming in your face at 50 miles an hour, just drilling you, is another thing. That takes a completely different level of mindset. The market we're in right now is that. It's not just high rates. It's not just low inventory. It's other things. We have financial, depending on how financially literate you are, depending on your relationship with your spouse or your partner, depending on your kids, depending on if you're a manager and you have employees. When markets go south, they go south, right? When economies go south, a lot of things tend to hit you from multiple directions. This is what I'm experiencing personally. This is what I'm seeing in our industry. I heard Sean Herrero say it down at Mastermind, that this is what our industries, real estate, mortgage, are feeling right now. Will a book or a podcast fix it? No. You have to understand, why am I feeling this way? What is causing these thoughts? And so, Todd, it was so perfectly timed you saying that. So I wrote this down that I wanted to share with this group. I'm putting a ton of effort into mindset training right now. And it's not, I'm not talking about being mentally tough. I'm talking about mindset training. I do breathing exercises in the morning to get my mind detached from life, from everything. I'm not just reading a book and putting positive thoughts into my mind. I'm trying to actually train and improve my mental fitness with this stuff. And I read this, 8 out of 10 thoughts that we have are negative in general. They're there to protect us. We have to learn how to detach, create different thoughts that create a brighter day, a brighter week, and thoughts that are in line with our vision, not our current reality. So here's what's really crazy about that. Like, our subconscious mind, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but our subconscious mind does not know the difference between our current reality and our thoughts. And so something that I've been working on with my son, who's 14, and over the last year, before I go to bed every single night with Hudson, I sit down with him, and he doesn't know the why behind this, But my why behind this is to clear his mind and pave a way for a positive, joyful tomorrow. So if I can pre-program his mind before he goes to bed, he's going to think those thoughts versus the thoughts that he's having throughout the day. Listen, social media is horrible for teens, and being a teen in today's world is probably the toughest it's ever been, right? And Hudson's having some struggles. And so I'm sitting here and I'm trying to clear that and then help him reprogram that. And this gives me goosebumps and we'll probably get emotional talking about this. Last night, I'm sitting on the couch. I got home late. He comes down and he goes, Dad, let's do our mindset exercises. And I ask him 3 questions. It's really simple. What made you happy today? What brought you joy today, Hudson? What are you grateful for today, Hudson? And what would bring you joy tomorrow? And then we pray. I'm telling you guys, I'm practicing this personally. I'm teaching this to a few of my loan officers. And when you're in a tough time, when you're going through a rough patch in life, understanding that a book by David Goggins is great. And some of these other books back here are great. Some of these podcasts are great, but now we got to apply it. And then we got to go deeper and we got to learn about it. How do we reprogram our mind? How do we improve our mental fitness? And understanding that we can pre-program our subconscious is amazing. I'm seeing it in a 14-year-old. I'm seeing it in me. And now I'm bringing it to my loan officers because Sean's right. The energy's down, guys. The locker room is down. It's halftime. We're getting our asses whooped. How do we reprogram our mind, re-energize our physical fitness, re-energize our soul to go out? We got another half of a game. Are we going to throw in the towel right now? Or are we going to go out and we're going to play to win? And so I thought today the most value that I could bring to this group is just this idea around mindset and then transitioning, and how do we get that across to 2 people? We're getting our business from realtors and we're getting our business from past clients right now. Yes, there's builders, and yes, there's social media. And yes, I'm focusing on those 2 right now specifically. Real estate agents who I love and past clients who I love. And that's it. I want to close on this initial mindset piece with this. And this is your hope. And this is what's hopefully going to get you fired up to move forward. 85% of the things that people worry about never ever happen. So all of these anxieties we have, all of these fears around cold calls, all of whatever you're worried about, the money in your bank, the lack of closings, all of the worst case scenario things that you think about aren't even going to happen. Okay. So pre-program your mind and then understand that the thoughts that you think become real. I want you guys to follow this guy. I absolutely love him. I know him from college and pro baseball. He's a former Washington State Cougar. His name's Colin Henderson. And he's not some big guy. I think he's been on a couple of, decent level podcasts. Colin Henderson, he talks about thoughts. He calls it TBT. Thoughts become things. Your thoughts become things. He's got a couple of little books. He works a lot with younger athletes. And I absolutely love this. And he says, if you realized, and this is probably the most profound thing that we can say to ourselves. If you realized how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought again. I mean, think about that for a second. If you only realized how powerful your thoughts were, you'd never think a negative thought again. You'd flood your mind with, hey, Hudson, what brought you joy today? Hey, Hudson, what would bring you joy tomorrow? Hey, realtor, we used to meet up once a month. We used to meet up every couple of weeks. I used to see you all the time. And the one thing that I remember, one thing I think about when I think of your name is that smile on your face. You always have this big smile. What would bring a smile to you today? What would if something happened today, what would have to happen for you to just light up and smile? And see what they say. Things like that. It's so big because I think real estate agents right now are having a hard time smiling too. They're having a hard time finding the joy too. I think we're on to something with this old school versus modern thing. Dave, can I share my screen real quick?
Hey, Dan, before you do that, actually don't share your screen yet. So guys, we're at halftime, and I really want to anchor what Dan has shared so far. I put a link in chat to Colin Henderson, just at a glance at his Instagram. Looks legit. I'm definitely going to go to school on that. And I also want to anchor it, when I interviewed Shant Benosian, the #1 loan officer in the country, which, by the way, while I pulled that data today of all the loan officers, I pulled up like the top 2,500 loan officers in America. And you know what? Shant's gaining market share. Like, it used to be, there was a few people pretty close to him. The next closest person was like a couple $100 million in volume. And when I interviewed him, he got to pick any topic a couple weeks ago or a month ago, and he picked mindset. And so interesting, Dan, I don't know if you watched that interview, but he picked like, how are you winning? And I mean, the whole call was on mindset. No, I know, Dan, like you read books, but I do want to call out, because I read the book that he referred, and it really is tactical. It was The Gap in the Game. Have you read that book, Dan?
Incredible book. Yes.
Yeah. And the thing I like it, and I know Dan's going to get tactical right now. He's going to really talk about how to execute this. But I would push anybody. It's only a 5-hour audiobook. And if you have not read that book, it's just a book that everyone who wants to turn mindset into a competitive advantage should read or listen to. I would actually urge you to listen to it. There was just some really cool elements to the act. It was kind of like the Goggins book, where the guy would read a chapter, and at the end of each chapter, they'd have a little podcast on it. And 5.5 hours, check it out. So Dan, go ahead and go. Well, wait, first of all, Todd, anything you want to anchor before Dan goes into this next chapter of his presentation today?
Well, I mean, Paul just posted the copy of the Shant interview that we did into the chat. I would encourage you to listen to that as well, because he gives examples just like Dan is of how he's getting face-to-face with real estate agents and the conversations that he's having. Because again, most of you are struggling with call reluctance, meeting reluctance, because you're concerned about what to say. Dan said it early on. Dan's giving you great ideas. Shant will give you great ideas. And I love what you say, right? Benjamin Hardy wrote that book. It's a concept from Dan Sullivan, who's strategic coach. And so, yeah, that's that banter in between chapters is Dan being interviewed by Benjamin on exactly sort of his interpretation of Dan's work. So it was a really cool experience. I know both of them, and they're amazing people. So it's a great recommendation, Dave.
Yeah, and one more little nugget. Paul, my executive assistant, my full-time wingman, just made a post, or he didn't do a post, he actually shared in chat. There was an article in Housing Wire today around why we won't see the housing market crash. And Paul shared it to me within the context of 85% of the things you worry about are never going to happen. And guys, I mean, I went with a bunch of high school buddies last night to a concert. And, one of my high school buddies reached over to me and was like, Dave, what do you think is going to happen in the housing market? I get all these headlines, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And so, most people, they are worried. And the more you can bring clarity and you can put positive energy, the better. I do think the article I just shared is something that if I was a mortgage coach, well, first of all, I'm going to share it to all the mortgage coaches out there and all the leaders that are powered by Trust Engine. But this is an article that I recommend that you put your personality around it and you share. And I guarantee you, when Dan Keller reads this, there'll be a Dan Keller video next week where he'll put his personality around it. He may or may not share the actual article, but he's going to be, he's already bringing this kind of content to his market. He's going to be bringing more of this content to his market with his positive mindset. So Dan, you're back up, brother.
So the old school meets modern mortgage, modern real estate, or 2023. You got to start with the power of relationships. Okay. And so I put together this slide for you guys, the definition of a relationship. And this is this got me new business with a new realtor yesterday. not video marketing, not Instagram marketing. When I explained this, the definition of a relationship is the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, or the state of being connected. And I asked him, how connected are you with the people that gave you 5-star reviews, the people that you sold homes to? And he goes, I'm not. And I said, if I could help you get into relationship with them, would that be of value to you? Absolutely. How do you do it? And I'm going to share with you guys today how I did that. But this is what old school meets 2023 looks like. Relationships matter, strategy matters, and your business, if you're talking to a realtor, your business plan matters. If you're talking to a borrower, your financial plan matters. There is a financial plan right now. The mortgage that we're going to put you in right now will not be the mortgage that you're going to be in a year from now, most likely, in my professional opinion. And we spend time talking about that. So the strategy around that is, if we know that you're not going to be in this mortgage, if you know we're going to rework this mortgage, how should we approach it today? What should that look like? Should we talk about buy downs? Should we talk about different types of closing costs? I am closing every realtor and every home buyer with this right now. I've navigated 3 market cycles / recessions. My mortgage apprenticeship in 2008 to 2015 qualifies me to be your lead mortgage advisor in this market. I want to be your lighthouse. I want to be your research or your resource. I'm going to give you the data that's going to help you navigate through this, provide clarity. This I swiped from, I didn't swipe, but I was inspired by Hunter's meeting yesterday with you guys.
That's
How
awesome.
realtors.
So you checked out that call?
Oh yeah. Anytime Hunter talks, especially, you being with Hunter, I'm going to listen. Hunter's a man. Yeah.
I love that. Hey, pull that back up. I want people to do something here. Like, I want you to take the time and put pen to paper on this. And if you're, watching the recording, I want you to, pause the recording right now. And I want you to, authorship is ownership. I want you to kind of author this. You might want to write it as it is, and then, have your own version of this. But these are just super powerful concepts. And I love, Dan, how you're turning it into, a playbook. Like, hey, there's mindset. And now it's like, how do we bring mindset with questions, conversations, phrases with clients? So keep it rocking, bro.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how realtors and past clients see me, they're going to see us because of how we communicate with them, who we are. We think we're great. Like Hunter, we think we're awesome. We got them a good rate. We closed them in 20 days. We got them into their dream home. Anyone could have done that. Let's just be real right now. The banks and credit unions can close in 30 days or less right now. Okay. So how are they seeing us? Well, they can see us in a different light if we're providing value, if we're in relationship, if we are connected to them. So number 1, deeper connections through better conversations. So we're not calling our realtors going, hey, how is your week? How's the market? How are things going? We're having deeper conversations. The example I give of the plumber. If your plumber called you up and said, how's your plumbing doing? You'd be like, it's good. I haven't had to call you back. So obviously it's good. That's weird. That's surface level. Versus, hey, what would put a smile on your face today? Hey, here's another one. I shared this from stage the other day. I was speaking at an MBA event. And they're like, what do you say to realtors? I mean, you call realtors every single week. So I said, here's a hack. It's worth $100,000 or more, and you can pay me later. Here's a script. So when you're making your calls to your realtors every single week, try this one out. You get through the small talk and you say, hey, Dave, and I'm gonna role play with you, Dave. Okay. You on?
Nope. Actually, wait a minute. I'm not a good role player.
No. You just say yes. Trust me.
Okay.
I won't put you on the spot. Just say yes. And the whole group is going to get a lot out of this. And I promise you'll probably have some things showing up at your house, maybe. So Dave and I get through the small talk. He knows it's me. We've done deals together. And so I'm going to get ready to wrap up the call or whatever. I'm checking in, or I just invited into an event. Okay. And I'll say, hey, Dave, real quick before I leave, listen, I'm throwing you on the spot. You and I, we're taking a road trip this Friday, 2-hour road trip. We're going to pop by the best local mini mart in town. What are you grabbing to drink and what are you grabbing to snack on?
Water and beef jerky.
Boom. Okay. So, and then I'd say, okay, Dave, come on. What kind of beef jerky? Oh boy, Alberto, teriyaki, what you got?
Preferably something local and cool, but not a big Roberto guy. So anything but Roberto.
Local and cool. Okay, cool. And what's your favorite water? I mean, now there's 100 different types. What's your favorite bottled water?
Usually like that smart water or something that looks cool.
Cool. So the pH balanced smart water. So what I just learned about Dave, he loves beef jerky and he loves smart water. Okay. And I just took some notes. Now, that doesn't mean anything to that person other than, hey, I was just curious. I'm just curious. All right, man. Hey, I'll talk to you later. Have a great week. I'll holler at you later on. Hey, good luck this weekend with your son's lacrosse game. Talk to you later. Okay. So we move on. The next week, when we call, it's going to be about something different. Remember, when we make our phone calls to realtors, it's not the same thing every single time. It's the account executive. So I'm going to call them to invite them to an event, share a loan product, or ask them to a meeting, right? So the next time I call them, I'm like, hey, Dave, it's been a month. I want to go grab coffee with you. I remember you love tequila. Let's go grab happy hour. What day works good for you next week? So anyways, we schedule that meeting. When I come to the meeting, I'm going to ask them another question, something about desserts. So over time, I'm going to have some really good information on Dave that is not surface level. How would you have known that Dave likes beef jerky and a water? Okay. So I've got a list of all these unique, like strawberry cream monster. I've got all these, like, your guilty pleasure snack too. I might even say that, hey, diet aside, I know you're a health freak. Diet aside, what's your guilty pleasure snack? Strawberry Twizzlers. Okay. So what we're doing is we're going deeper, you guys. That's the whole idea about this. I have all of my clients fill out up front an all about you form. It's very similar. And then I make a joke about it during the mortgage planning meeting. If they put something down there and it's super vague, I'll be like, come on, cheesecake? Like, your favorite dessert's cheesecake? Like, do you put anything on the cheesecake? Do you like any flavors? Cheesecake Factory? Is there a restaurant? And I'll go deeper. And then when I close them, I can now gift them something customized. When I show up to escrow, I can bring them something customized. When they refer me, maybe I can give them something customized. That's deeper. That's not wider. So better questions. With real estate agents, more meaningful conversations lead to more valuable relationships. Right now, it's a relationship business. It's a relationship game. Sean is onto something here when he was talking about that. I say this, I love your business and how you work. Can you help me better understand your vision, your mission, and your purpose in business? So here's the tactical part of today's training. When I'm sitting down with realtors, we've already done a call on when I get that first meeting with the realtor, the questions that I ask them. It's really simple. It's 15 minutes. And then I go back to the drawing board and I'm going to share with them what I'm going to share with you guys today. But in these follow-up meetings, so this realtor that I met with the other day, been in the business for 25 years, I literally asked him that question. And I know what they're going to say most of the time because they're not as polished and prepared as some of us. But would you help me better understand your vision, your mission, and your purpose in business? Most of them are clueless on that. And so I get to now have a conversation with them about this. I'm very crystal clear on my mission, my vision, and my purpose. My mission is other people's money. I'm passionate about financial literacy and wealth creation. I don't have to talk about this. You'll see it in everything that I do on social media. You'll see it in stuff that I send you. Number 2, my vision as a mortgage professional is to generate 45 new client introductions a month, to close 20 plus loans a month, and have 10 loan officers closing 5 plus loans a month. That is my vision. That's what I'm chasing every single day. And then my purpose is to inspire others to grow spiritually, financially, and mentally, and to know how special they are. Okay. And so having these conversations with realtors right now, you guys, this is not surface level. This is deep, because when the market is like it is right now, when we encounter adversity, you are going to fall to the level or the dedication that you have to your vision, to your mission, to your purpose. And without those three things, you're completely lost. Without those three things, you're like that loan officer that called me the other day and it's like, I think I'm going to go get another job. If you had a clear vision, if you had a clear mission, and you had a purpose for doing what you do, you wouldn't be chasing other jobs. You'd be chasing new relationships. And so I'm sharing these meetings that I'm having with realtors right now, a lot we're talking about mindset. We're talking about this stuff. Better relationships with real estate agents looks like this. Being willing, and this is a good friend of mine, Dave and I, we're actually, not a good friend of mine, a mentor of mine, Dave and I were talking about this guy the other day. He posted something the other day, Garrett White did. Being willing to die for a cause is honorable, but being willing to live on purpose is true significance. And so how many of our realtors, how many of us are living with purpose? I want to close with this, and I want to get into tactical. One of the top TCAs that I'm using right now. This is an image of very, very ugly, stormy waters. I go out on the Puget Sound all the time, right off the coast here. I love to fish, and I have a nice boat that can handle ugly waters. But in ugly waters like that, it's very, very, very difficult to navigate. You got waves coming from all directions. You have wind. You have tidal current. I had my neighbor the other day. My neighbor's 80 years old, and God does amazing things, you guys. It's a God thing. It's a timing thing. My wife and I bought a new house 2 months ago, 10 doors down from where we live, at the very end of the street, on the water. Our neighbor is 80 years old. He's a retired physician for the Seattle Sonics, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Seattle Mariners in the 80s and the 90s. Unbelievable experience. You all have probably heard of orthotics. You put these little molds in your shoes. He was the pioneer. He pioneered orthotics. He was like, I'm not operating on people's spines. I'm not operating on people's hips and backs. We can fix this at the foot level. So he's the foot surgeon for the retired foot surgeon for the Mariners and the Seahawks and the Sonics. He mentors younger physicians. So about 4 weeks ago, he invites me to a morning Bible study, a group of 5 or 6 physicians, people that he mentors. They're 50 to 60-year-old men. So I'm the youngest guy in the room, and I'm probably the least educated, academically educated person. And there's a builder in there, and I think a financial planner. The rest of them are physicians. And the amount of peace in that guy's life, like I just talked with this guy, and he is just at utter, like, next level 10 peace. Now, think of it this way, you guys. When you're 80 years old, you're running out of time. He jokes with me about this. He was like, Dan, you're in the second, maybe third quarter of your life, man. You're in your prime. You've absolutely hit the jackpot. He goes, man, I'm in overtime right now. And I absolutely love that analogy. But when you're 80 years old, you're at the end of your game. And for him to have that much peace, knowing that he's almost out of time, money is not an issue, assets are not an issue, because none of that matters, provided a ton of clarity to me the other day. And I was sharing some things with him, some things I'm going through. I just feel like I'm anxious. I haven't been anxious, and I haven't felt the way that I feel right now, whether it be the market, whether it be the industry, just how hard I'm working right now. And he said, Dan, you like to fish. And he goes, if you took your boat out on the water right now, and it was really, really, really stormy, and you had to turn around and head back into port, how difficult would that be? And I said, it'd be very difficult. One wrong move and you're going to flip your boat. One wrong move and you're done. And he goes, okay. And he goes, what if you were in the harbor and it's a beautiful sunny day and it's flat because you're behind the breakwater, and you forgot your lunchbox, or you forgot something back at the dock and you had to turn around? How difficult would that be? And I said, oh, it'd be cake, easy. And he goes, your mind is like the sea. Your mind is like your boat in the sea. He was like, you got so much going on in there right now. And if you can eliminate some of that stuff, you'll provide peace and you'll have clarity in regards to what you need to do next. And so I'm not going to share this with you guys. We had a total next level conversation around how to clear your mind, how to detach from the thoughts, how to detach from everything that's thinking, how to get more clear. And I'll tell you what, you guys, like I said, whether it's a God thing or a timing thing, perfectly timed. And all of this stuff has completely helped me better understand, okay, going back to the basics. What's my mission? What's my vision? What's my purpose? Even if I can't help you, I can't do a 7-6 arm and compete with you right now, but I can still help you. And I'm leading with that. And then I call the realtor and I say, listen, fully underwritten, approved. I'm sorry, I can't help you, but here's the thing. Remember when we first sat down, I told you my number one commitment is to get you paid. I'm going to get you paid. I'm still going to get you paid. I just can't do the loan. They're going to go to the credit union. I've fully underwritten the file. I've even had our underwriter underwrite it as an arm, even though I can't do it, to make sure that you're good. You're good to go. Please keep me posted if you run into any issues. I can reinstate it for a 30, but I'm not bowing out and having a bad attitude like I would in the past if I'm losing a deal. That's a mindset change. So coming from the approach, like Sean was saying, how can I help you? How can I provide a solution for you? You got to flip that on you. How can you help yourself? You can help yourself by getting your mind right. You can help yourself by putting the right things into your mind. And so as far as how this relates to getting new business from real estate agents, there's two things that I sat down with that agent the other day and we talked about. We talked about rest, your pre-bed routine, like I talked about with my son, training your subconscious, and then practicing a day of rest. Not the whole day, but a day where you specifically set aside time to rest. Number 2, get clear through prayer, through meditation. And number 3, we've got to nourish our bodies. We got to move, we got to read, we got to listen, and we got to make sure we're eating and we're drinking right. The strategies here that I'm using right now with realtors to go out and meet more clients. So I think Jeremy talked about this. The reason why we meet with realtors, the reason why I'm meeting with realtors right now is I'm trying to tap into people that they know that we can help down the road or to bring about new business for them right now. So I'm doing this through monthly trainings to help realtors grow, to inspire them, to inspire their vision, their mission, and their purpose. Monthly educational trainings to teach them about 2-1 buy downs, using MortgageCoach to show the difference between a 1-0, a 2-1, a 30-year fix, or a permanent buy down. Showing rent versus owns, which I'm going to share my number one strategy with you next, which is that private groups, like my son's in a baseball community and they have a private group and I absolutely love it. I'm recreating one for my favorite past clients, and I'm recreating a small one for my favorite realtors. And then the last one, I'm doing masterminds each week for different groups of realtors, maximum 5 people. So what I want to do is I want to give you a script real quick. We got about 5 minutes left. I want to give you a script that has helped mitigate fear right now with first-time home buyers and with, I'm not getting a lot of move-up buyers, but mainly first-time home buyers. Is the market going to crash? Affordability is an issue. I don't know if it's a good time to buy because I can probably save more money renting, all of these things. When I use MortgageCoach, I'm specifically using MortgageCoach to talk about wealth. Remember, it's a part of my vision. It's a part of my mission, other people's money. It's a part of my purpose is to help people become more financially literate. So the script that I want to give you guys, and you can make it your own, all I'm saying with first-time home buyers when we sit down is I say, I want you to look at your mortgage like this. I want you to look at your money like this. Think of it this way. All we're doing with your money, your down payment and your closing costs and your monthly payment is we're repositioning your money from a bank account to a secure physical asset that you can actually use, you can live in your home. All we're doing is repositioning your money. That's it. And so this example that I'm going to share with you guys right now is a report I made for a young couple last night, Diego and Ryan. They're actually thinking about re-signing a lease at $2,800 a month. They're currently at $2,650, or buying a $600,000 home. What I showed them here was a payment on a $600,000 home is $4,437 a month, or we could do a 1-0 buy down and your payment would be about the same, but you've increased your purchase power by about $50,000, which helps them. Okay. But this was the conversation that completely changed their mindset. I want you to think of it this way. Remember, we're repositioning money. So 5 years from now, you guys, you're 27 years old. 5 years from now, you're going to be 32. If I were able to help you increase your total net worth by $267,000 to $300,000, now, don't you think you'd be in a better financial position by buying a home versus renting? And I showed them the difference. And then I went just like this. I took $300,000, divided it by 5 years, divided it by monthly. And I said, if you guys went to your bosses right now and asked for a raise, a $60,000 or $70,000 raise, do you think your boss would say yes? And they said no. And I said, cool. Here's how to give yourself a $300,000 raise over the next 5 years. And guys, I used 4% appreciation too. Seattle is going to outperform that. Seattle has outperformed that. And so I share this with you guys because the conversations that we have to come off of, we have to leave the closing disclosures, the loan estimates, the fee worksheets, and we've got to use resources like MortgageCoach to structure things side by side, to show the 5-year, to show the 15-year, to show their options. And then what I gave them was this. I put this together. I'll put it in the group if you guys want this. I personally made this. I went back to the 1970s all the way to 2022, and I stacked inflation, which is CPI, home appreciation from Case-Shiller, 30-year fixed rates, and the Fed rate, and I overlapped them. I share this with every single client. I say, guys, right now, the Fed has raised the Fed rate higher than they have in the history of America. Look at this, you guys, the blue mark. Every time the Fed stops raising the Fed rate, what do mortgage rates do? Every time the Fed stops raising the Fed rate, what do mortgage rates do? Every time the Fed stops raising the Fed rate right here, what do mortgage rates do? They drop. Why does the Fed raise the Fed rate? To beat down inflation. It's working. It's happening right now. You guys, we're Q1 to Q2 of 2024 away from this freedom point. This is the data. Here's the report. Did I miss anything right now? Are you crystal clear on, does it make more sense to buy or rent right now, or do we need to talk more about this? And I'm doing what Sean's doing. I'm doing what the pros are doing right now, you guys, is I'm taking MortgageCoach. I'm taking options from our wisdom and our experience, combining it with data, and then we're putting together a financial plan for them. When you show realtors this stuff, you guys, they freak out because they need that.
You're muted, Mr. Savage.
Sorry about that, guys. Dan, killer mindset lesson. Love your one strategy. If you could share the TCA link, because I want to make that part of the speed to need training playbook, which, by the way, guys, it's available. If you go to savageinsights.com, it's one of the top 3 links, and you can get access to all of these links in a training guide for you as a loan officer to train on stuff like this. And for all the managers, you need to make sure your loan officers are trained on this. If they don't have great mindsets, and by the way, if they can't have the conversation that Dan just had at the very end, they're not going to have a great mindset, because selling rates and selling pre-quals in this market and doing the job they've done for a long time isn't the job today. The job today is finding out the needs of the consumer, understanding their concerns, and then visually showing them strategies of how they can win in this market. So Dan, if you could share that with Paul, what do you think the speed to need is? Just, it's a confused home buyer. What would you label the headline in terms of Dan Keller's speed to need lesson? What is the sentence or the hook?
Yeah,
Dan?
I think, Dave, you are a former athlete. You're an athlete in general. You're wired that way. I am too. Remember back in the day, you probably had a coach say this to you. You're overthinking it, Dave. Paralysis by analysis. I think there's too many smart people up here in Seattle. They're overanalyzing the internet. They're overanalyzing the decision. They're talking to their parents. It's paralysis by analysis. So okay. I think you give them the data and give them
analysis by paralysis, TCA, confused mind, TCA. Paul, let's get that updated in the playbook. I think we need to put that towards the top. Todd, if you could close out the call, win by noon style, brother.
Well, if this one's not one for the record books, that was just so awesome, Dan. I mean, you guys got exactly what you need right now. You got coaching on mindset, you got examples of tactics that you can use, and most importantly, you got the scripts that you need in order to execute on it. And then Dan took it a step further, right? He went personal. He's talking about the conversations he's having at home. He's talking about the conversations he's having with mentors, and how that is impacting him. And so I would encourage you all to go back, watch this again, find at least one person in your branch that you can share it with. If you're a leader, I'd be sharing this with your whole branch. It was pure gold. And as always, Dan, super grateful for you. Glad I can call you a friend, and appreciate all you do to pour into the Trust Engine community.
Appreciate you, Todd. Bye,
All right,
guys.
y'all, this is a wrap.